Like any career path, pursuing music professionally has its benefits and its downsides. I think a lot of us look at being a full-time musician with rose-colored glasses and fail to see some of those negatives. Today, I'm going to talk about the ups and downs I've experienced in a life of music. One of the interesting things I've found is a number of the aspects that make being a professional musician great are also the same things that make it not so great. For example, the uncertainty of this career path is part of its charm. When I started school for music, I never thought I would end up where I am now, and in 10 years, I really have no idea what my life will look like. This journey is far from linear. It's entirely possible that all my streams of income will dry up and I'll need to make some drastic changes. On the flip side, maybe something great happens and next thing you know it, I'm doing arena tours. It's exciting, but at the same time stressful. Of course, deeply tied into this uncertainty is the money-making aspect. There aren't a lot of musical jobs that offer things like benefits or a predictable salary, whereas if I work at a bank, I can see my career path fairly clearly. I would have things like my dental insurance covered, and as my career progressed, I'd have a decent idea what kind of cash I would expect to see. With this stability, I could plan out a life and a family. However, when you're running a small business, which is essentially what I do, it's harder to make those long-term commitments. But one of the best things that offsets any of the negatives is I get to play my guitar and have at least some sort of impact on people's lives. Even before I had a YouTube channel and I would play gigs, it wasn't rare for somebody to buy me a beer after a show and give me a pat on the back because they had such a great night. The more people I've reached, the more this has happened, especially on a place like YouTube, which is so interactive. Every one of you watching this has the ability to write me a comment, and chances are I'll probably read it. It's incredible to read the nice things you guys have to say. On the flip side of this, there will inevitably be a certain level of negativity that you have to endure. It doesn't matter who you are, nobody is universally loved. And with a thing like music that so many of us are so emotionally attached to, you can get some pretty passionate responses from people that you've annoyed. I've learned to take it in stride, but at one point, if I read all the negative comments that came my way, I probably would have needed a bucket of ice cream to cheer myself up. There's also this pressure that comes when you make a creative art your career. For me, it takes a fair bit of energy to come up with 2 video ideas a week, shoot them, edit them, and release them. A lot of the time you can't force creativity, and it can be incredibly disheartening when those juices aren't flowing. This isn't a job where you can phone it in and expect others to pick up the slack, which is also great because it makes you feel like what you're doing is important and worthwhile. On top of that, I've found that I consistently live in this weird gray area where I'm never working but also kind of always working. What I mean is that a lot of the time what I'm doing doesn't feel like work since I enjoy it so much. It's not rare that time gets away from me and I'll spend an entire day working on a song. But when I'm not working, I always get the feeling like I should be doing something and often end up picking away at some sort of errand. It's hard to fully separate, and there have been times when I'm jealous of friends who work a 9 to 5, get home, and fully detach from their jobs. One of my favorite things about this career is when all the hard work I pour into something pays off. There have been a number of videos that I put a ton of effort into that have been very successful. However, when you invest a lot into something only for it not to be received as you hoped, it can be especially demoralizing. There's one video in particular that took me an entire year to make that never really took off. After that video underperformed, it was pretty tough to motivate myself for the next big project. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check that one out. On another note, when you make your passion your profession, your love for it changes. At least this has been true in my case. Music used to be something I would try to spend every second of my day with. I would play my guitar whenever I had the chance, I would listen to as many CDs as possible, and I would try to go to as many concerts as I could. Back then, my guitar and I were on cloud 9, but now when I'm not working, I need to escape music. I'll do things like listen to a podcast, watch sports, play video games, that kind of thing. I quite simply don't get the same enjoyment out of music anymore, but I do get a different type of fulfillment. Now, when I get in the zone, it's way more exciting than when I used to record music just for myself. Knowing that thousands of people will probably hear the thing I'm working on is an amazing motivator. When I find things I do enjoy, I can now appreciate them in a much deeper way than I ever used to be able to. It feels like my relationship with music is like that of an old couple who have been through a lot and have always found a way to stay together. It may seem like I'm complaining, but that really isn't the point of this video. When I look at my life, I can say that I am quite fulfilled. But it's important to remember that things aren't perfect for everyone. Happiness is something that actively needs to be worked on. I once thought that if I could achieve what I have now, I would be perfectly content. That didn't end up being the case, and it was unhealthy to put that kind of pressure on music. I'm extremely grateful that people like you have made this possible for me, and I hope this video in no way diminishes that. What I want the takeaway to be is that everyone has their darker days, even if it seems like they're living a dream. So when you find yourself in those situations with those feelings, you know that nothing is wrong with you, and it's okay to discuss it with others without feeling guilty. Thank you all for watching. I hope you found some value in this video. An especially big thank you to everyone who supports my channel through Patreon. You guys make these videos possible. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned. I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I will see you again soon.